Welcome back to It's Miracle Beauty. As you can see, crazy hair. I have heatless curls in, and what I do, my hair takes forever to dry. It's been drying for at least 8 hours. It's still damp, so I leave it in until right before I leave. So it is, I tie mine back when I get ready with just a headband, so they're out of my way. So today's Get Ready With Me as I get ready for work. These have become some of my favorite videos to film. I have a ton that I need to edit and get up. But I want to do kind of a fall look in Michigan. It's still actually pretty warm for Michigan, I think. Usually by the end of September, beginning of October, we're starting to see at least some cold nights, things like that. We haven't had a freezing one yet at all. Well, I don't think we go to freezing this early, but we usually go to like 40s. It's been like 55 or higher every single night, so it's been pretty warm. However, I am dying to wear a flannel I got from Target. Sounds so stupid, but it's a 90s style, baggy, awesome flannel, but it has secret pockets, and it is so comfortable, so I want to wear that today. So I kind of want to do a kind of a fall look and just inspire fall, even if we're not feeling it yet, because I'm okay with it not getting cold yet. It's the fun part of fall I like. So first I'm going to do is prime my eyes. If you've never been here before, I do pan projects, and I film those separately, but I've been unofficially panning my MAC paint pot, and I have a huge pan on the bottom. I actually already own another one of these that I got for 15 at Macy's. They're usually about 25. I got it for 15 at Macy's, and so I will just roll that one right back in. Just looking for my brush. So I just take a concealer type brush, and I just get a product on it. And I am in my jammies. I don't like to get dressed into my makeup because I get makeup everywhere. So I am going to just prime my eyelids. I have a job that is pretty, it's funny. They're so laid back in so many ways, but they're pretty strict about like schedules, and they like their customers to have, you know, care and consideration. So we have schedules, so I have a backup that backs me up when I'm not there. She backs me up when I'm not there, and we can't work. Like, we can't be out at the same time unless there's like something important. So she works one week 7:30 or 7 to 3:30, and then in that week I work 8 to 4:30, and then we flip flop. So this week is my later day, but I actually live traffic-wise about an hour from my work. It takes me about an hour to get there. The commute is pretty rough. I work from home at least 3 days a week, sometimes 4. So it's not like I can complain because it's still time away from my family that I'm not paid for. However, I do like my job, and I love the people I work with. But reason I brought this whole thing up is I wondered if anybody else has an industry that traditionally was not short-staffed. It suddenly is. My industry is monopolized by the older generation, the boomers, and they're all retiring at catastrophic rates. I mean, like, it's funny because at first I was like, oh, you know what, they're going to start retiring. We'll see with one here, one there. They're just like literally dropping and running now after COVID, and not in a bad way. A lot of these people are well past 65 and probably should have already retired. I am not going to be that person unless I financially have to, which hopefully I don't. But we cannot find help to save our lives. In my department, in my team, I think we're fully staffed. In my department, we're down at least 3 to 4 people. And then as an agency, I think we're down a couple people on top of that. So it's just kind of ironic to me how just pretty much all at once we're seeing staffing issues that are debilitating to our industry. So in case you haven't been here before, I'm a licensed insurance agent. I actually sell business insurance or commercial insurance. I do pretty high-end stuff. So I can't give away specific clients, but family entertainment centers, like big, huge places is typically what we work on. Usually when you get into the bigger, there's definitely not a shortage because the higher you are in it, the more they pay, the more benefits you get, things like that. People typically get into those positions and they stay forever. And we're seeing just constant turnover in our industry and lack of training. So we have a young generation that maybe would love to have these high paying jobs, but nobody wants to take the time to train them. So it's just kind of we're at an impasse in our industry where either something has to change or somebody's going to have to come up with some type of training program, because we can't continue to overuse and overstress the employees that are remaining in the industry, Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, and a little bit of Gen Z. The vast majority of us are Gen X or Xennial, and we're just in it hoping that we get help soon. So again, I'm blessed my department is full, or not my department, my team is fully staffed. But if you're having that in one of your like your industry or something you're seeing, let us know, because it's weird. I don't buy into the whole nobody wants to work thing, because everyone I know has a job. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if you're nannying. Everyone has a job that I know. Nobody can afford to live in this without money. And are we getting to the point where there's more jobs than people? Like, what's going on? So I am going into my Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. I actually have had this since it released. I love this palette, and you can see some of them have some pretty good depressions or dips in them. I love this palette, and I used it a lot when it first came out, and then I kind of forgot about it. Like, sat up on the shelf, and I was like, whatever. I also grabbed, just in case I see a color I want to use, the Naked Wild Wild West palette. This is one I don't think I've ever used on my eyes. I've owned it for maybe once. Actually, no, I think I did a fall look last year, the year before. I bought that the second it came out because I do like Urban Decay. Now, they're not in the same caliber as other brands. They're not a Natasha Denona. They're not, you know, anything like that. But I do typically like their stuff. In fact, I have a bunch. Where do I have those at? I have some that I'm decluttering a bunch of palettes that either have poor quality, I don't like, whatever. And I was going to declutter some Urban Decay, and then I pulled them out and tried them, and they have great formulas still. I'm not great. Their formulas are so good. They haven't expired, is what I was trying to say. Came out being a little bit overzealous about their formula. So I'm going to first grab just a mustardy color to put all over my lid. I think that mustardy colors can be really pretty in fall. And mustardy colors are cool because you can build on them to brown or green. And it makes it a lot easier to do your look kind of on the fly, so you don't have to plan every color before you start and make sure they all align, because mustard is so diverse that you can kind of go either way. I'm not liking this brush, but I don't want to switch now because I want my eyes to look similar, so I'm going to continue to use it. I will have some cleanup, I can just tell by looking at it. It's going way past, and it's not because I'm pushing it there, it's because the brush is misshapen, or either it's getting old or it needs to be washed. Probably both, but I think the getting old part is actually the problem. This is a Morphe M. Come on, where are you at? 504. I am slowly phasing out all of my Morphe brushes, and I'm not just picking up Morphe and going, I'm decluttering these. They're all about, so I'd say my oldest ones are probably at least 5 years, maybe 6 years old, and my youngest ones are about 2.5 years old, and they're all starting to age, and they're not standing the test of time. So I'm just slowly, as they become a problem, I phase them out and go on to the next one. I have a ton of brushes because I love Sigma brushes. I love BK Beauty, and I like Anissa Beauty. I do not own very much eyeshadow brushes outside of Sigma and Morphe, though, because those are the two I kind of learned how to do my makeup with, and or at least relearned it once I started doing newer, more modern stuff with my makeup look. I knew how to do it like how I'd learned it when I was young, but it had been years since I'd really looked at anything, new techniques, anything like that. So it just looks like that. I think on camera it's picking up a lot more orange than it is in person. It's more of a mustardy tone in person. But even the orange, I mean, that's fine for fall. So even if it was orange, that'd be okay. Okay, so next I want to start phasing in a little bit of green. So I'm going to take, this is a Morphe 503. It's just a small little like packing brush. I know packing is the wrong word. Blending brush is a better term for it. And I'm grabbing, so I don't know if I showed you. This is the mustard I grabbed initially, and then I'm going to grab this green right here. The lighter version. There's a darker one and a lighter one, the lighter one. And I'm not going to go heavy-handed with this. I'm actually going to go pretty light-handed and just slowly phase it in. I always have to remind myself, because I'm kind of a bull in a china shop, that you can always add more. You cannot always take away. One thing that's really nice about wearing shimmers or, metallics, anything like that over your matte eyeshadow is any imperfections in your blending typically are hidden or at least improved by the shimmer going on. So like when you do an all matte look, anything you have that is not perfect will be so obvious. It's kind of annoying, but it does drive you to do better and blend better and all those things. That's the basic look. I haven't decided if I want to do a shimmer or not. There's kind of a, it's almost like a duochrome, but I don't know if it officially is a duochrome. It has a pink green kind of shift. It's interesting. I was thinking about maybe putting that lightly on my eye. I'm going to do something first. I want to clean up my upper by my brow bone. I use my ambient lighting palette by Hourglass. I just use the middle lightest shade, and I always dust it up there to blend it out, kind of make sure there's no harsh lines. Started doing this either late last year or early this year, and it's just turned out to really be nice because it gives a little bit of a highlight on your brow bone without looking like glitter. And then it also is make sure edges look like it blends the edges really well because the type of powder it is. See that glow that just popped right there? It can be heavy, it can be light, but it does put a little bit of glow without having any shimmer. I will say, I'm not loving my upper line right now, the edging. Usually by now it's pretty blended and it looks good. This one I'm not sure about. Actually, that one looks so much better now. This one's still a little awkward. Part of getting ready really early in the morning is sometimes your skills ain't on point because it's too damn early. Like for me, it's 4:51 right now and I've already been filming for probably 20 minutes. I'm gonna put that shimmer on. I get up, I have to leave the house an hour before I have to start work, so I have to get up about 2 hours if I'm planning to do hair and makeup. If I'm just throwing on, a tinted sunscreen on my Tower 28, something like that, I can get up about an hour before. But oh, this has like almost the green reflect, and this is really pretty. I find that the more awake I am, actually the better mood I'm into. I'm a morning person. I never was when I was younger. And if my younger self could hear me, she'd probably be crying in a pillow right now because I've always been a night owl. I've always just kind of did my own thing hour-wise. And it's like when I was young, like 20s, and we had our kids, I would be up all night and go to work and go to school, grocery shop, clean the house, make dinner. Now that I'm in my 40s, I feel like it is just enough that I have to go to work. Like I think every working human being should be entitled to a maid and somebody else to cook for you so that you don't have to do any of that. So I did just add that shimmer. And before I do anything else, I am going to add my eyeliner because my eyeliner, I like to clean up the edges and I want to make sure I have my eyeliner on before I do that. I didn't end up using anything in here, but I actually may come in, if it still looks a little awkward, I may come out with that lightest shade and just blend on top to kind of take some of that glow down. I've decided, I usually like the glow, so I'm not usually trying to take the glow down. So right now, I'm unofficially painting my Too Faced Better Than Sex eyeliner. I like this one. The brown was useless. I bought it, had to return it, and did not work right. The black is one of my holy grails. I am trying to get better about not keeping eyeliner a long time. I typically tend to keep them a long time because one, I like high-end eyeliners, so they cost a lot, and then I start getting, weirded out by getting rid of it, even though it's still working and all of that. But also, I'm trying to kind of keep an eye on, with my pan challenges and my, normal stuff for my collection, for lack of a better word, I have times that I do things. So like every quarter I declutter anything that's old, I don't want, whatever. It doesn't mean I do some huge declutter. It just means I go through and go, am I using it all? Am I, whatever. So for every quarter, I've got at least a little bit. This quarter, for the end of the third quarter, I'm getting rid of a ton. I've been dropping weight on makeup pretty fast. I send everything to my daughter, or it gets thrown away if it's bad. I don't throw things away when they're good. But I've just noticed that with the exception of concealer and foundation, I don't want 150 choices, which is how I got in this mess with all this makeup. Is I do love choices. I am a person that loves choices. I want to have 10 options for everything I do. I mean, it's just part of my actual fabric of who I am. I'm always like that. That being said, I'm noticing that I want to have a couple cool tone blushes and a couple warm tone. That's it. I want to have 2 or 3 face powders. Like, that's it. But foundation and concealer, I don't think I'll ever change on that. I rarely use just one foundation or just one concealer, so I end up kind of rotating through them, and I enjoy that. But back to the conversation, because I do that scheduled declutter and, you know, review stuff, I'm trying to not keep things longer than I'm supposed to. This eyeliner is not super opaque, so if you like a super opaque eyeliner, I actually recommend the, what is that one called? The REM Beauty is what I was trying to think of. I could not think of the name. REM Beauty has a very opaque, and I mean like it's black, and it's that firm, doesn't gray out as you use it. It goes over, it's sharp, and it's very almost harsh, but in a good way. Like that line is distinct, like you can see it. I'm going to wipe under my eyes and clean up my under eye. I try not to wipe it too hard. I try just to get the color off because I do use eye cream in the morning. I don't want to remove all that. And that gives you a clue of what comes off from that makeup. And it definitely had a lot of fallout, which testosterone could vary in fallout. It could be user, it could be that I, had too much powder or eyeshadow on my brush, but I also, different brands are known for it too. Testosterone, I feel like, is in the middle. I feel like I get fallout with her sometimes, but I don't with every shadow, and I don't with every palette. It just depends. Okay, I feel like that is pretty good. So next I'm going to move on to primer. I typically always use 2 primers. I typically, by the way, I already have my skincare, my sunscreen on. I did use the e.l.f. Glow Primer. That's like the glow screen. I have not used that since I had a problem with my foundation a couple weeks ago when I was filming. So I don't know. I mean, it's been on my skin for like a half an hour. I don't think it's going to cause any problems, but we're going to see because I haven't used it since because I'm apprehensive after all that. I did pull out 2 different primers. If you watch my pan channel, you know I've been panning primers all year. I've been flying through them. And so now I'm getting to where I'm just grabbing the oldest. Every time I go in there, I grab the oldest of what's left. I just finished, I think, 2 primers this month. Yeah, I think it's 2. So I grabbed the Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Face Primer, and I grabbed the, excuse me, I'm so sorry, hiccuping. Too early for my brain to work this hard. Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer, and this is in the blurring. This one is pretty old. This is not old. I just liked it. This one's pretty old. I got this in gratis when I worked at Ulta during COVID shutdowns, or maybe the year after the shutdowns. So like 2021. I got this in gratis, and I also got the moisturizing one, which I am adding to my pan. I'm trying to use some of this. That is a targeted type primer, whereas this I can use everywhere. That is a targeted primer because it can be very heavy, especially with mature skin, if you use it all over the, ooh, that was not good. I hope this isn't bad. It must have just had, you know, like they dry out in the front of the tube. It must be what it is. I'm not doing it straight on my face skin, so I have it there. And I try to use really small amounts. I find when I prime my skin, my foundation looks better all day. It kind of smooths everything out. Even when I use sunscreen or moisturizer, it's not quite enough. And I do have desert dry skin, so that could be part of it. But I also find that it doesn't make my makeup stay longer. And I think part of that staying longer is because it looks healthier. And then when it looks too dry or not dry enough, like not matte enough, like oily, I think that it's really easy to have your makeup not look as good and wear down faster. So then I'm going to take that Laura Mercier. I'm just going to grab some on the back of my hand and just disperse it little at a time. So I just did that. And I may not even use all of that. I just want to make sure I had enough. So I like this in this around my pores in the center of my face. I don't like it everywhere. The back of my hand is like literally all glitter, so I'm gonna end up with glitter on my face. From me testing that eyeshadow I ended up using, it's like I washed it off and it's still just full. I like doing this part of my chin right here. I get little bumps right there, and this just helps everything look nice and smooth and the foundation to go on easier. And then lastly, I do just a little bit in my smile lines and on my upper lip. I have really dry skin, like in the crack of my nose right there and on both sides, and it's really hard to make foundation lay good there. In fact, I've had that side pierced, I think, 4 times. And when I did it this last time, I actually regret I should have just pierced the other side and not worried about the holes, because this side, the way it's positioned, she was trying to kind of work with the scars. The way she positioned it, because she was trying to work with the scar tissue that I had, it makes it kind of hard to deal with foundation wise. And it's not a deal breaker. It's not a huge deal. I'm not crying in my pillow. It just hindsight, you know, you figure things out. So next I'm going to do color corrector. I actually grabbed 2, and I'm probably going to use 2. I grabbed the Charlotte Tilbury. This I actually bought last year during Black Friday or this year during one of a sale. I was out. I've used an entire one of these and I love it. I was out, and then I wanted to finish some before I started anymore, which I did just finish my Fenty one on Monday. So I did purchase this. I had bought stuff on Natasha Denona and never knew they had a rewards program. An email a while back, oh, you know, you're in our rewards program, blah, blah, blah. I went in and I had over $20 in credits that I could use towards purchase. So I actually purchased the right shade of the concealer because mine was too dark, and then the color corrector, and I paid like about $20 or $25 I think was shipping for everything. So it was really cool to not have to pay full price for that. So this is my Fenty concealer brush. I actually have owned this for quite some time and have not given it really any type of chance. It's just, I would use it once and then toss it in to be washed, and I don't normally do that. Usually I use my brushes a few times before I wash, so I'm just blending this out. In my under eye, I typically have pretty dark under eyes. However, they're usually pretty easy to cover. I don't usually have a problem. If a product even has the most basic of color correcting, it usually works. Some concealers I can actually just use concealer because mine aren't super, I have deep set eyes. So it's not actually that dark of a color. The eyes are physically deeper, so it makes almost like a optical illusion that my eyes have a lot more dark circles. I think that I could really just get away with just this. I could put on my foundation concealer and I would be fine. But I am making up on sleep from my health issues, and I just like to look awake. So we're going to grab just a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm going to put that in the deepest parts of the eye underneath. I'm not putting that everywhere. I find that one is probably one of the best ones on the market. I'm always trying other ones, and I always end up right back at that one. So I kind of was giving myself a pep talk to stop buying crap and just use the one I know works, because this one works really well for me. I think in my brain, when I see new ones released, I'm like, oh, I want to. By the way, I'm just using my finger to tap. Your finger helps warm up the product and help it sink into the skin better. Sometimes I look at stuff and I'm like, oh, you know, that's going to make me like 20 again. When really I don't ever want to be 20 again, but that's never going to happen. I mean, I'm 45 years old. I'm going to look at least somewhere near my age. Okay. I think that came out really nice with those two. Actually, I really like those two blended together. So that is color corrector. Foundation, I actually grabbed a few things because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I grabbed a few foundations that I can either mix or decide from today. I grabbed the Good Apple Balm Foundation. This is, a lot gone. I've been panning this all year pretty much. This was my favorite foundation, and then I had one bad experience, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to use that. I'm scared of that. So I didn't use it for a while, but you look, there is a huge pan in that. Slowly just using the whole thing. The other one I grabbed, I moved into, if you haven't here before, I pan an entire Makeup Forever reboot by putting it in a cushion foundation. It makes it a little bit easier to use sometimes. And I did just add my Le Essentiel. I'm sure that does not sound right, but from Guerlain. This one is a beautiful reflective foundation. I actually don't know if they sell it anymore, but it is beautiful, but it is so scented. I would use this by itself only all the time if it wasn't so scented. It gives me a headache a lot, but I need to use it because it was very expensive and it's running out of time. And then the last one I grabbed is a new one that I have. This is Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint. I actually had a gift card, and my boss actually gave us a gift card for, we were in the top places to work in Detroit. He gives a gift card, so I did buy that. And then after I bought it, I noticed it said it's for combo skin, and I was like, oh no, this might not be good. I wore it to work on Monday. This foundation is, or skin tint, is so gorgeous. So I actually think what I'm going to do, I think I'm not probably going to do the Good Apple. I'm going to leave it here in case I use it, but I don't think I'm going to use it. I think I'm going to go with the Bounce Skin Tint, and then I'll fill in anything I want more coverage with the Guerlain. So I want to shake this up, and I need my foundation brush. I've been using the Anissa foundation brush. It looks like this. I have a few brushes that have like either a triangle or center thing like that. This brush is really good. I am a convert. I used to only use, I'm putting it on the back of my hand. I used to only use sponges for my foundation. I hated how makeup looked with brushes, and somehow in the last like couple years, I've completely did a 180 and I prefer the brush. Now I wet my sponge every single day because a lot of times it does still look good to smooth it out and do things like that. Like, I don't know if it's picking up on camera, but that just like completely whited out. And I mean white out, not like the color white, like correction. It just completely blended everything. It looks so pretty. This is a skin tint that has some coverage to it. It's not, you know, full coverage. It's probably, I don't know if it's buildable to medium without, you know, assistance from another foundation, but it looks really good. And I got compliments on my skin all day because it looked like skin. It didn't look like I was wearing a mask. It didn't look like, you know, which is typical of skin tints, like, to be fair. They're usually lighter coverage, things like that. But I have trouble with skin tints because although I don't actually think I need to have a lot I need to cover up, I do like full coverage. I like having that beat. And so when it's not full coverage, I stare at it until I end up making it full coverage because I end up doing stuff. Even though, like, I don't care that I have freckles. I don't care if I have a pimple. You know, it's like, it's kind of funny. So I don't know if it's subconscious or if I don't pay attention until it's too far. I typically lose foundation on my nose, and I typically lose it in my that's not the right thing, the apples of my cheeks. So I do need just a little bit more foundation because I do take my foundation on my neck every single day, no matter what, even if it's a perfect color, just because I like the blend there. It's hard to put my head back because of my cuteless curls. If you do go down your neck, just make sure you powder your neck and not heavy to set it, because if you don't, you can end up with makeup all over your clothes. I don't want to do too much under my eyes because I am going to use concealer. Overall, I feel like it looks pretty good. I don't feel like it needs any like correction other than, of course, what I was just talking about, where I think I need more coverage. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of the Guerlain. Guerlain is a lighter foundation color-wise. It's probably a little bit too light for me. Ooh, and it's made a mess in here. When you first fill it, sometimes it gets a little messy, and that's really annoying. It's like it has to remember, or it has trouble sinking into the sponge until it like sits there for a minute. I just grab some off the sponge and put it on the back of my hand, and I am just going to add this in. I don't want to add too much, and I know a lot got on that brush, so I'm definitely going to use my sponge to kind of smooth things out. Oh god, this scent is so strong. I think it probably wouldn't be as bad if I didn't dislike the scent, but the scent is not pleasant. It's like, you've ever been like at Macy's during the holidays, or like Saks and Neiman's, anything like higher end old school department store, and there's always that little lady that's doing all her Christmas shopping for her granddaughters, and she's wearing a gallon of perfume that is not from this century. That's what this smells like. I used to work in retail many years ago. Well, actually I worked at Ulta not that long ago because I liked it for the discounts, but otherwise retail, I think retail employees get abused so much. It's crazy the amount of abuse that is given to retail employees, and nobody thinks twice. Everybody's like, well, they wanted to work in retail. Especially during the holidays, people are very entitled and very disrespectful. I grabbed a few cream bronzers. I do my cream bronzer before I actually use my sponge and before I use my concealer. So I brought a few that I wanted to decide if I wanted to use. I think I know what I'm going to do, but I'll show you what I brought. So I have the NARS cream bronzer, which is one of my all-time favorites. I have the Juvia's Place. This one I've been using almost every day on top of my cream bronzer because it has a shimmer to it that is just stunning. And it can, I don't think it gets loud ever. I mean, it's not that shimmery, but it can look a little like shimmery if you don't powder, but I powder, so it kind of creates the perfect, like, it's cute. I have the Say bronzer, and then I have the Charlotte Tilbury. I think I'm actually going to stick with my favorites right now. I've been using the NARS and the Juvia's Place a lot because they just look so good every single time. I do just take my brush and go in. I go on the back of my hand, that same place I have the foundation, because it helps me work the product and not have too much on my face. Sometimes if I don't put it on my hand first, I will go on and be like, oof, put it on, and it's just like a streak of brown, and that's, especially as fair as I am, that is the last thing I want to have on my face. If you've never used these Anissa brushes, I kept seeing them and I'm like, they can't be that good. I mean, I already bought the BK Beauty. I don't need them. Since I bought them, I barely use my BK Beauty foundation and, come on here, stop. My foundation and bronzer brushes, because it has been so awesome. I love these brushes. I have two of these. I have one for bronzer and contour and one for blush, and I love them. I'm going for just a little bit more because I want to put it underneath my chin. And I do always go in after. I can't put my head back very far because these hair things, it's driving me crazy. I do go back and kind of blend out the edges for my foundation. Don't want anything looking too harsh. I'm going to do the Juvia's Place on top, see if I can kind of make it all blend, and then I am going to move on to concealer and other cream products. So when I don't use a ton of product, I just blend it right on top of mine. Now I want to do my concealer, and then I'm going to do my cream bronzer and cream blush and cream highlight. So concealer, I'm pretty even keel with my concealers. I can use pretty much any concealer. I have not used this combination together yet, but I do like them a lot. This one is an underdog. I just have to tell you, it is the Too Faced Born This Way Ethereal Light. If you have mature eyes, dry eyes, struggle with, I don't care about creasing because I'm gonna crease no matter what. I've creased since I was a teenager. If you want to look like you don't have a dry under eye, this is amazing, and it just looks glowy and good every day. This one I'm still figuring out. This is the Mario. When I had that gift card, I bought this in the Mario foundation, and neither one of these are my favorite I've ever used in my entire life. The foundation, it's finicky. I used it on vacation. Now I had to wash off my makeup because it started looking so bad. So I'm gonna go right in the center of my eye right there, and that's where the bulk of this is going to be. And then I'm going to just put a little bit on the outer side, down the nose, in the center. And I like to let my concealer sit. I am going to grab that Mario. I am liking the concealer more than I'm liking the foundation. I think that foundation has some issues, but I I want to keep trying it because there's a couple things that I've been noticing people talk about. One is that, and it says it on the packaging, it is self-setting. You don't actually have to set your concealer with the Mario. It will set on its own. I don't have a lot of luck with self-setting concealers because typically they don't really self-set. They just kind of like get a little drier, or they're super dry and then I look crazy, like literally. This is a BK Beauty concealer brush. Not the Hot and Flashy. This is the original. I actually have the Hot and Flashy. The Hot and Flashy is great. I don't know if I'll buy it again, only because there's a Sephora that's the exact same, and why I love supporting the brand. It's about, I think, half the cost, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll wait and see, because sometimes you can get them half the cost and they're the exact same value, exact same quality. Sometimes, not so much. The Hot and Flashy ones look and perform just like the Sephora, but we'll see. I am going to switch to my Anissa concealer brush for my eyes. I love this one. It just gets up in the corner really, really well. I was trying not to create a big line between my foundation and my concealer, but I did. So when I'm done, when I use my sponge, I will try to work that line out a little bit. They actually look really good. They're very glowy. I powder mine, so it's not a big deal. Let me get my sponge, and then we will start working forward on this. So I just went and got my sponge wet. I'm not quite going to use it. I just want to have it here when I'm ready. I am going to grab the Makeup by Mario. This is in Pretty Pink. I am not going to go crazy on this because I actually have another one I want to use for the main color, but I think this would be good to create some dynamic to it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use the Elf Putty Primer in Bermuda. Does look like this. I'm going to use this first at the back for dimension, and then I'm going to put the pink in the front. I was going to do it the other way around, but I think I'm going to do it this way. These putty bronzer, or blushes, and the bronzers for that matter, they dry out really fast in my opinion, but they're so cheap, it doesn't affect the value because, I mean, $6 for that much blush is crazy. But I will say my other bronzers and blushes don't typically do that. They, my higher end, and even some of the drugstore ones don't dry out that fast. But I think it's because the putty starts off, geez oh pizzo, my hair is my enemy today. They start off at a drier, you know, status than the other ones. The other ones start off more wet. So I think that's why they actually do dry out so fast. So again, just grabbing a little bit of that Mario. This one is a formula that is very creamy. It's very similar to the Sculpt bronzer cream that he has. It's very pretty, but it can go on kind of strong. So I always, two things. One, I always do it when I'm going to be powdering. And then two, I try to blend it in and tone it down a little bit and not use too much product. Again, I'm always tapping on the back of my hand before I put it on my face. I do my cream bronzer a little bit strong, both positioning and tone, because I am going to cover it up with a powder. The powder is going to dull it all out, and then it will come back with the powder blush. I actually probably could stop using cream blushes because I do powder, but I really like the dimension that creates when you have both. So that's why I'm doing it. I have two cream highlighters out. I have the Rare Beauty. This is in Enchant. This is a lavenderish pink one. And then I have the one I'm panning. I've been panning this all month, so I'm actually going to use a little bit of it, but it's not going to be my primary. So I'm going to do this one first. I like just taking my brush. I actually have so much used now, I have to move it up. I like taking a brush and just getting it on the product all over. Just doing it right under the eye right here and right above the brow bone. So for this one, this is actually a rose gold, so they're really cute together. I just put this one in these positions and that's it. So then I put a little bit of that Rare on the back of my hand, and I just grab some and put it in certain places. I don't want it everywhere because it is a pretty glowy one. But I want to add some glow and some healthiness to the skin. I, again, have super dry skin, so if you have oily skin, this is probably a step you could skip if you don't like being glowy. For me, if I don't look like a glazed donut, do I even have makeup on? Okay, so we are going to move on to, I did bring my M Cosmetics compact highlighter. I did end up using it, but I bring it here just to be safe. I am currently panning the Hourglass powder, so I'm going to use this for the main part of my face. I use that with the Jaclyn Hill illuminating powder. For my under eye, I am going to use the Huda Beauty. This is the pink, or cherry blossom. It is pink, but it's cherry blossom. I actually have, let's see, I have sugar cookie, I have cherry blossom, pound cake, and a cupcake. I actually own this full size, not the cherry blossom, but the full size Huda powder years ago, and I hated it. Like, it was, I can't even explain the amount of hate I had for this powder, because every time I used it, it would like make a mask, then I was using too much. That's the short story. I was using too much. And back then I didn't use poofs, and I feel like poofs have changed the game for me and other people because it helps us use smaller amounts and it helps make it really smooth. I'm just smoothing out my eyes before I powder. It does make it really smooth and easy to put on, and you use a lot less. So I think that's probably playing a role. But now that I figured out the right way to use it and can, control myself, I love it. The cherry blossom and the cupcake are both pinkish toned. Cherry blossom is much more pink. When I'm having like a day where I look kind of tired or sleepy, I like using the translucent, which is like basically a white powder. But otherwise, I can pretty much use cherry blossom and cupcake interchanged. So you might say, then why do you have both? Well, because I wanted to try it. And that's why you see I bought that small one, because I wanted to try it. I didn't want to invest in a big one and have this happen. So I'll use it because I bought it, but I probably would just keep the cupcake. So if you're fair like me, that's something to keep in mind. If you have deeper skin than me, the cupcake might not work. And I do have a little bit left where I poured it out, so I'm going to go ahead and do my nose in some of these center places so I don't waste that powder. Another thing about Huda Beauty's powder is, excuse me, it does add coverage. So like if you're looking for your powder just to set and not change your coverage level, you probably wouldn't like this. But if you like wearing, say, a tinted moisturizer and you want just a little bit extra coverage, it's really nice. I actually really like it. Again, I can't tell you how much shit I talk. If you go back to old videos, I talk so much shit about this powder. It never worked for me. And then all of a sudden, I bought a little one. It was the pound cake one. I bought just that because I had seen someone talking about when you use a poof, how much nicer this is. And I used it the very first time. I was like, oh my God, this is the best. If you look how fast I'm tapping, I am doing just the smallest amount of powder on my face. I have dry skin. I don't want to be all powdery, but I also don't want to feel my makeup moving all the time. And it will. I've gone to work with, like, not too long ago, actually, I didn't set my whole face. I set under my eye and where I was putting my bronzer and stuff. And I was wearing the Shiseido Glow foundation, which is, if you have dry skin, gorgeous foundation. It's one of my all-time favorites. I probably will always have it in the house as long as they sell it. But I was wearing that, and I set, like around my eye, and I set my cheeks, and that was it. I went like this, and I came back, and I had a foundation on my hand. Like, I could feel the foundation. So it doesn't, can't always go without powder when dry skin. This is the sugar cookies, what I was talking about, that is white. That's the one sometimes I'll put on my eye when I want brightness. Then I'm going to take the Hourglass and the Jaclyn Hill. This is the luminizing powder. I think this is in Brighten Up. Yeah. I'm trying to, I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera. It's less than halfway, or maybe a little less than halfway in there. I'm actually trying to unofficially pan this. I have another shade of this as well. I used to buy a lot of Jaclyn Hill. I did buy something recently, I'm not thinking, but I don't typically support her products anymore, but this isn't even about her. This is about the age of the product, and I don't want it to go bad. So I put those in together. I kind of give them a shake. I want to make sure they're not all one or, too much of one or the other. I take a poofy, like a bigger poof, because you want to cover more acres you do the rest of your face. I still tap it on the back of my hand, make sure there's not too much powder. And I usually start on my forehead and work around. Oops, I just unpinned my bangs. Didn't mean to do that. I probably had just a little bit too much on the poof when I first started because I noticed it left some visible like signs of powder behind. Usually it just sets the makeup. And that's one way I know if I've done it well, is if I'm seeing actual powder lines or if I'm just seeing it slowly look a little bit mattified. And I don't want to see like that. That's powder. I probably too much on it. I don't want my face to be matte per se. I do this to stop the makeup from moving. But if you're wanting it to mattify, then you probably would use a little bit more than I am. I do puff out my cheeks when I do my smile lines because while I don't think it's perfect or foolproof, it does make a huge difference on my smile lines creasing or not. The other thing that makes a difference is the type of foundation. How much my coworkers make me laugh. There's a lot of ways that it can vary, but I notice when I was going back into that lid with my brush and swirling, getting the rest of that powder out of there, I noticed that if I do the puffer fish, it does help at least somewhat keep them in line. Just checking to make sure, nope, this side doesn't have enough. I always check to make sure each side is smooth with powder and I'm not going to have an issue with skipping. So I just went around, hopefully I saved some of the footage of my face and kind of tapped everywhere just to make sure that it's fully blended, make sure I'm not going to have any problems with, you know, super powdery areas, whatever. And I do always go over it with a brush as well. I just do the poof first. I'm tipping anything left over back into the Jekyll and Hyde lid or container. I do try to go over it with a brush afterward. I just like to first make sure that I have the basics done. I have 3 Anissa Beauty powder brushes. I have one for powder, one for bronzer, and one for blush. I actually really love those. I am first going to grab my BK Beauty though. This is the 102. And this is just literally dusting off what's on the face. Make sure everything is blended. My powder did blend, or my glow from that foundation did come through really well through that powder, and that's part of that using a really small amount of powder. If you use too much, it's going to be everywhere. So I'm going to grab this is Kevyn Aucoin's sculpting powder. If you've never used this and you have fair skin, oof, I almost dropped it. It does look like this, and it is a just contour shade. It's, I want to think it's like $28, $35, something like that. I got it at Black Friday last year. Got a great deal on it. I love this powder because I don't need a lot. First of all, a little bit goes a long way, but also it just creates a shadow. It doesn't make me look dead, gray, all that. So I always tap it off, even if I use just a little bit, and I just put it in the hollows of my cheeks right here. You don't want to just do it right here because I'm going to have a stripe. That's why you see I do kind of almost like a C or an L, backwards L, or no, that's an L, not a backwards L. But, and then I put a little bit on my little double chin just to help hide it. And then the other side. It does have, not a red undertone, but it does have kind of a reddish tone to it. And when you use it with a reddish bronzer, it actually looks really good. I didn't for the longest time because I was like, I don't want to have red cheeks. That's what blush is for. And then as I started using it more, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing together. I brought a couple of blushes. Blushes is not what I meant to say. I brought a couple bronzers, brain cells. I bought, let's see, I have the Tarte Park Avenue Princess. If you like glowy bronzers, this is amazing. I think I'm going to go in with my Fenty. I'm panning this right now. This is the Indecent. I think I'm going to go in with this. And I am going to use that first. And if that's all I need, then we'll stop there. If I need more, I can grab one of these other ones. With blush, or bronzer, I want it to be more flushed out and less precise and just look like I have a flush cheeks. I've been in the sun or, you know, whatever. And for me, it's a lot too, is I'm super fair. So if I don't bronze at all, I look like white cheeks and pink cheeks. Like that's, that's the gradient. Not too shabby for being half asleep. Although It's 5:41, so I'm getting more awake now. I've been awake for over an hour now. Next, I'm going to grab blush. I grabbed a few blushes too. I think I know what I'm going to use. Actually, I think that I'm going to use my Patrick Ta that I'm panning. I've been enjoying this again. I love this when I first got it. This is She's Passionate. This is the original just powder bronze or blushes. It does look like that. It's just, you know, not quite pink, not quite orange, that middle ground. It's really pretty. I'm going to take my Anissa powder brush that I use for blush. My cream blush is coming through and it looks really good with this. That's why I had a theory that if I use this, it might bring that out a little bit, and that's exactly how it feels. Again, I don't want to look like I have a stripe or anything. I want to look like I'm just glowing from within and everything else. And some days, which today looks really good, some days I nail it, and some days I get to work and I'm like, who let the clown out of the house? Like, I think sometimes I go a little overboard. So I'm going to pause there and do my brows, and then we're going to set the face, and then we'll come back and do highlighter and mascara and everything. Brows are done. I am going to do a quick dusting. I actually do this almost every day I do my makeup. I am currently panning my incandescent strobe light. This is a travel size. Of the regular ambient powders, you know, I just realized I never used my sponge, and it looks really good. That's unusual. Usually I at least have to like smooth things over. Who's this girl today? Where did I put my mirror? In front of my face. I'm actually like super impressed with my skin right now. It's really good. I get little like hairs like fall and then they tickle my face, and like one day the whole way to work I'm like trying to find this hair that's tickling me. I'm not trying to put more product, I'm trying to get hair. So I'm going to take this. I usually take, this is just like a brush from Amazon. It says BS Mall. I actually got those. They're actually pretty nice brushes. I don't use all of them anymore because I do have nicer brushes I like, or more quality brushes. But this one in particular, for some reason, this powder brush is just perfect for dusting things away. I do just kind of build it up on the brush. I do not put this all over my face because it is glowy, or I do put it in the heights of my face. And then I kind of go just a little bit around the edges just to kind of add a little bit of glow. I don't want to, again, I like looking like a glazed donut, but I don't want to look like a powdery glazed donut. And if you go crazy with these, that can happen. Okay, so I need to set my face. I am currently panning. This is a Franken cocktail. This has Rare Beauty, it has Pixie, it has Fenty, and it has, I forget the name of that. Her name is Jen. It's a Gerard Cosmetics. That's what it is. So they're all kind of mixed in here. I'm actually going to start painting this month, actually, starting in October. I love the sprayer on the Pixie. So as it runs out, whatever one's almost empty, I pour in. This one is actually, I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera. I only have about that much left. So I'm actually going to be done with that one soon too. So actually, I'm going to use this one first because this one does typically put a little bit more glow, but it also kind of melds your powders, makes everything kind of, you know, balance out. So I am going to do this first. I literally abhor looking powdery, so I do set every day. This is just a fan from Amazon. And I do one more time with the Pixie. This is how I keep my makeup from looking super powdery. As you saw, I use powder, I use minimal powder, and I set. That's the only way I personally can not have my makeup moving and have my makeup set, but also not look super powdery. That should be good as far as setting. So I am going to go back and use highlighter, and then we are going to move on to the eyes and finish them. So I brought two with me. That brought my makeup sprayer, but I pulled out two. I've been panning. This one is the Kilowatt Highlighter in Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal. If you are fair or fair-ish, this is a beautiful, if you look, I've had this a while, but I do have a pretty decent dent in both highlighters. Panning this, have been panning this at the beginning of the year, probably will pan it the whole year. It's one of my favorite highlighters, and for me, panning things I love is a lot easier way to do it. And then I brought the Natasha Denona. This is the Super Glow. And does look like this. These are actually pretty similar. So I think I'm going to put this back and I am going to use the one I'm panning because I figure I should probably just use the one I'm panning. If I'm going to use one, why not, you know, get further in my pan? So I just grab it. I use actually both colors, just kind of go between them. Tap. One thing, I don't typically follow trends, so a lot of people stopped using highlighter this year or didn't want to use highlighter. I still use highlighter. I love highlighter. I think that it's beautiful the effect on the face, so that probably will never change. I probably will use highlighter till I die. I'll be the old lady with the perfume, and it'll be me and the highlighter. I'll be 77 at the grocery store or the department store shopping for my grandkids with highlighter on. So I just went and grabbed white eyeliner. I have very white waterlines, like literally white. So I always do this first. It helps clean up that black that may have transferred from the eyeliner because it's liquid. And then it also creates almost like a boundary or a base for my color eyeliner that makes it pop. Now today I'm not using a bright color in the sense of like a blue or a green, but when I do use blues and greens, it definitely makes it pop. I'm going to tight line with the 24/7 black. This is all I have left of this one unofficially painting. I finished a Charlotte Tilbury black and another black. I cannot talk when I do that, otherwise I will poke myself in the eyeball. I grabbed a color pop. What color is this? It's rubbed off, but I think it says Wildcat. It's really hard to see because it's rubbed off. So this is kind of a pewter kind of folly color. Actually, it almost dead on matches the top. That's funny. I'm only putting it on the outer, like a little bit over half, maybe outer third. And then I'm going to grab the Shockwave. This is by NYX, right? No, LA Girl. And this is an Ocean. I'm not going to use a lot of this. I'm going to add just a touch to kind of create some depth on the bottom lash. She used a little bit more than I wanted to, so let me go back with that pewter one and see if I can kind of dull it down a little bit. I wanted to have a little bit of an edge or a line because I do like, it makes my eyes pop, like immediately my eyes look greener because of that, but I also don't want it to take away from the look because the look is not a blue look. And it's not an opposite either. Actually, that's perfect. To kind of tone it down and make it look like it's just a deeper version of this. So that is it for that. We are going to now do lashes. And I'm actually going to not wear color on the bottom, which if you watch anything, you're probably fainting right now because I do that 97% of the time. But I want to decide. I have black and I have brown, but I only have brown in one, and I kind of like mixing. I'm going to curl my lashes and prime it and try to decide. I actually think brown would look really pretty with this, but I do have black eyeliner on, which that's not a deal breaker for me. I mean, I do it all the time, but I think if I really wanted the brown to pop, I should have used a brown eyeliner. This is a curler from J-Cat Beauty, and it does have like a little thing on the front that helps your lashes pop. Works really well. I use Latisse, a generic, but Latisse, and so I do have very long eyelashes. In fact, they're almost like too long right now. They're almost a little hard to deal with. That curler, all curlers for me, actually, not just this one, does kind of take off a little bit of my eyeliner sometimes. Usually it's because I had it too close to the lash line, but just touching that before we move on. Okay. We're going to go for lash primer. This is L'Oreal Lash Paradise. So that's one coat of this mascara. I really love this mascara. I think it works so good. I normally hate these little plasticky, nubby type of lash brushes, but this one, I think it's because it has that bend that, if you've never used it, it like literally bends as you do your lashes and helps like grab every lash. I am then going to use a little bit of, I'm actually really just trying to use this up because this used to be my favorite mascara and it was going to go bad. This is the Hourglass Unlocked. This is their tubing mascara. I loved this when it first came out prior to finding the Sky High. I do not buy a lot of high-end mascaras now. Sometimes like 21 Days of Beauty or things like that. If a really good brand I love is on sale, I'll grab it. And I believe that's when I grabbed this. But I don't want to spend money on high-end mascaras if I have a Maybelline one that works amazing on my eyes. I do like to use more than one mascara because I like to use one that's like lengthening and making them look big and voluptuous, but then I like one that thickens as well. Another one I got in the sale was, not this last one, the one before, is the Perversion by Urban Decay. This is probably one of the best mascaras for thickening your lashes. I think a lot of people complain about it and they're like, oh, it doesn't work that good, it doesn't do this, it doesn't that. But when you use it purely to thicken your lashes and make them seem more volume and substantial, I think it works. Oh, I just got it on my eyebrow. I'll let that dry and then I'll clean it up. I have mascara everywhere. Jeez Louise. So I'm going to stop for 1 second and get off and go take care of, let this dry so I can take care of those spots, and then we're going to do the bottom lash, and then we're going to do lips and be done. Hopefully, my hair feels drier. It doesn't feel dry. I might have to throw the blow dryer on it. Yeah, back here is not 100% dry. It's been, at this point, 10 hours, a little bit less than 10 hours, 9.5 hours, and it's still not dry. Unbelievable. I'm just grabbing some pointy Q-tips so I can get those areas without messing up the makeup. I find that when I do really short, like almost like staccato, if you know music, pulses, when I take this stuff, take mascara off, it helps it not take the makeup off underneath or mess it up. I think I'm going to grab that brown and use it on my lower lash. So it's just a little softer, not quite as dramatic. So it just has a little bit softer look. So when you use, like I have long lower eyelashes too. I used a lip mask last night and this morning my lips are still chapped. I'm going to have to drink more water today.
I have very fair skin, but I have long lashes, both on top and bottom, so if I use something that's too crazy, it will wash me out, or it makes me look like Ziggy, the model from the 70s with the big lashes. So I have to kind of watch it. I'm going to grab this Charlotte Tilbury. This is the iconic nude. I'm just going to line my lips with this. This one is a little bit, yeah, I'm not going to say it's bad, it's not. But I don't think it's worth all the hype that there is.
Whenever I wear just gloss, not lipstick and gloss, I do try to line my lips in a way that it actually, if the gloss completely wears off and it's gone, it looks like I have some color to my lips. Otherwise, you end up with just a line. So I do fill my lips in when I do this. And this is the Wayne Goss. I can't see it because it's rubbed off, but it's a Wayne Goss lip gloss. I got these in my Beautylish Wayne Goss mystery bag. That was probably well over a year ago because we lived in the other house. So I've been here a year in June, so it probably was spring of last year. And that is it so far. I'm gonna go finish getting ready and I'm going to pull my hair down and I will come back and show you the finished look and then I'm going to work. So we'll talk more in a minute. So this is the finished look. It is actually still pretty damp. It is funny how long it takes my hair to dry, but I'm gonna let it go. Just let the curls sit where they sit. I am getting ready to go to work now. So actually I hadn't planned to film an update. I actually was just gonna go off to work, whatever, which you can see my curls are falling, but I want to jump on really quick because I looked in the mirror when I got home and my makeup actually looks really good. So I want to just point out that Bound Skin Tint with the L'Essential by Guerlain ended up being probably the best combo I've seen in a really long time. I have now had this makeup on for over 13 hours. So going towards 14 hours, and it looks really good. I have very little cracking, just looks like skin. And actually it's really funny. I ran into 2 people business-wise, associates I know, and both of them were like, what is on your skin? It looks so good. So just want to throw that update in there. If you guys made it this far, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.